One. Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier, the football podcast we bring you each and every day over there on YouTube. You'll also find audio versions of the show on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. And if you'd like to contact the show, the Upper Tier Podcast on Gmail is where you will find us, or on Twitter at @the_upper_tier. You'll also get us on Facebook and Instagram. And Darren, where else do they find us?
TikTok.
TikTok, baby. That's it. Joining me tonight, as always, the Dazzler for the Premier League preview, match week 23. This season is flying by, my friend.
Can you believe it?
Unbelievable. It seems like we were only a week ago on match week 22, but here we are, match week 23.
It
almost feels like a week. Let's start off tomorrow night, Watford versus Norwich. Not the ideal Friday night fixture.
Well, no, but, Norwich picked up a big win last weekend for them. Watford obviously got a very, very late draw. But, this could be a relatively entertaining game. I think this could be open enough. If you look at the Everton game last week with Norwich, it was quite open. Everton were unlucky not to get back in that game. And there was chances at both ends of the pitch. I expect to see something similar this weekend, or this Friday night, if I'm honest. I think we could see a few goals, I think we definitely look our VL 2.5. I know that's one of your favourite bets. It's probably hard to pin your flag to the mast on where this is going to end up. But I think if I was a gambling man, which I am, I think I'd probably be going score draw here.
Well, a little spoiler for our Beat the Bookie episode coming up as well. I didn't even look at this game in terms of any of my picks this week.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough one now, I have to say. It's not one I'd steer towards, but obviously we do pick results in this preview, so it would be remiss of me to leave it out.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to go for a Watford win.
Okay.
Because I think as interesting as Norwich were last week, I think every dog has its day eventually, but I don't think there is the ability to sustain it. And I think Watford might have a bit too much for them.
The only thing I will say is when Smith came in originally and he had that little tour of form, they were able to put 2 wins together on the bounce. And the 2 games they have at the minute, which is Newcastle away, which was Everton home and Watford at home. If you're going to win 2 games on the bounce, they're 2 of the more likely games for you to win on the bounce,
Yeah, no, I'm thinking a Norwich win.
Okay.
I wouldn't be as
Watford win, you mean?
Sorry, a Watford win. Sorry, I wouldn't be as
score draw. I reckon 2-2.
God, that's a big call, isn't it? 4 goals.
That's what the ballerina said, isn't it? 2-2.
I wish I shared your ambition. Lunchtime Saturday, Everton versus Villa. Stevie G back to the Blues. Big Dunk probably in charge. This will be a feisty one, won't it?
This will be feisty, Everton under Big Dunk previously were quite good, very, very combative, in your face, kind of smash mouth style, pretty much like Big Dunk was as a player. And I expect to see more of it the weekend. I just think for Everton, I think Villa just have too much quality around the pitch. Watkins, Ings, Buendia, Coutinho, Ramsey. The names start to rack up, don't they? And when you look at the Everton attacking lineup, it just doesn't roll off the tongue the same way. We don't know who's available and fit. We know the boys, Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin, are 2 good footballers, but for weeks and weeks now, they've been on and off because of injury and COVID and other things. So if they're available, it'll give Everton a fighting chance. But I can't see this being anything other than a Villa win, to be honest. And I'm gonna say 2-0 to Villa.
I'm gonna go 3-2 Villa because I think this game's going to be really open. I think Everton will be buoyed by the fact that Rafa's gone. I think they'll want to put in a shift for Dunk because they know if they don't, he'll knock them out in the tunnel. And I think Villa.
Valid points.
Villa will probably have a go as well. And I think because both teams are going to have a go, I think it's going to be back and forth. And I think there'll be goals in it. I'm going to go for 3-2 Aston Villa. Another little spoiler for our Beat the Bookie. This is a match that is featured heavily in Mark, our resident referee's bets. Now, I'm not going to give Anton away as to what he picked, but it'll be certainly interesting, so it's definitely worth a watch. Next up, Brentford versus Wolves. This is a game I am looking forward to now.
Yeah, like this will be a decent game. I think obviously Brentford after last night, it was a poor result for them, wasn't it? You know, if you look back at the game, they had a number of chances in that first half and probably should have taken the lead. The second half, though, I did think they were very, very poor. I thought United were able to play through them. They were very, very high. There was space everywhere across that back line. Anybody that's watched United play over the last couple of years would know. You get two banks of four in there, we'll struggle to break us down. They didn't. They were so open at times. And I just think that's going to hurt them, to be honest with you. You know, I think it's going to be a tough game to call. But I think I'd probably have to just side with the visitors here on this.
Yeah, absolutely. They're in good form at the moment and finding a few goals as well.
Yeah, they have, you know. Obviously, there's a few bits and pieces coming out of Wolves today, obviously, about the boy Adam and stuff like that. And that could certainly unsettle them slightly. But I think Wolves have been playing well. They've been creating chances. I think playing against somebody like Brentford and with them maybe being open like they were against United would suit them down to the ground. And you'd see them take control of this. I think it'll be tight, but I think I'm going to just say it's going to be 2-1 to Wolves.
Yeah, I'm thinking a Wolves win as well, but I think it'll be I think both teams will score, so I'm thinking kind of 2-1 as well. Yeah, good shout. The Battle of the Uniteds, Leeds versus Newcastle.
There's only one United kid. Don't be forgetting it.
That's the bar.
Yeah, like this will be decent, but again,
it's an awkward one to call, isn't it? Bamford read today. Bamford out injured again.
Yeah, like this is a big issue for Leeds. You know, he was their talisman, wasn't he? Himself and Calvin Phillips were their two kind of go-to guys last year in the league, and they're without Calvin Phillips at the minute, and now Bamford has been on a run of injury. He's been plagued this season, and they're very, very short on goals. You know, the boy Jack Harrison obviously did a great job for them last weekend, getting a hat-trick and stuff like that. But can they keep this going? And can he keep it going? I don't know. It's a tough one for them to ask. Newcastle, then I think, you know, there's an opportunity here for Newcastle, isn't there?
Especially their new signing.
Yeah, you know, I think Wood going back to Ellen Road, he'll be comfortable there. He's an ex-Leeds man. He had a great strike record at Leeds, albeit in the Championship. But you know, he'll be comfortable there. He'll know that Ellen Road crowd are going to get on his back a little bit. But I think at times that can suit guys, you know.
Very soft centre back pairing.
Newcastle.
No, Leeds.
Leeds.
So yeah, play into Wood.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more he can pin those two centre backs in, the more he creates around the edge of the area for the Matt Ritchies and for the Kieran Trippiers and for the Alan St. Maximes and the Ryan Frasers and stuff like that, you know. So yeah, again, I think there'll be goals. I think I'll go with 2-2 in this one.
2-2. I'm going to go with a 3-2. Newcastle just shading it.
3-2 Newcastle. Be a big win for Newcastle.
It would. Well needed as well.
Big win for Newcastle, I have to say.
Next up, a really great game. West Ham versus Man United. I can't believe it's a 3:00 game, to be honest. Very surprised.
Well, listen, I suppose there's two things about this, isn't there? United obviously aren't in Carabao Cup at the minute, so you know we didn't have to plan ahead and maybe play a game on a tour or on a Sunday or anything like that. Possibly at the start of the season when the fixtures were done, people might have looked at this and said this isn't going to be as big a game as it is right now. But obviously, with United floundering where they are and with West Ham up at the dizzy heights there, this game becomes a big game. They're a direct rival for that fourth spot. I think if we beat them at the weekend, we'll go above them and we have a game in hand, which is huge for us because, again, as I said to you, we can get some daylight in between us and them. I have to say, like, last night was, in the second half, was much better. It was much more like what we're looking for. I think there was a clinical element to us last night, which hasn't been there in quite a while. You know, even Rashford getting in on it with the one touch kind of finish. You know, I was thinking that's the kind of stuff we need to see from Marcus Rashford. That more direct, get the ball out of your feet and either put it across the box where someone else is, or have a shot on goal. And maybe, you know, you don't score every goal, but the keeper does enough to parry it and somebody else knocks it in and stuff like that, you know?
Just at a base level, just fucking do something with it.
Just do something with it. Don't, you know, he's extremely overindulgent at times. He goes by the guy, he stops, lets him get back on side, goes by him again, stops, and you're just thinking, why hasn't he got the ball in the box? You know, why haven't we tested them? Why haven't we got them touring, gone back towards their own goal? But last night was much, much better. I think, you know, 3 goals in a 20-minute period away from home for United in the last 18 months has been unheard of, you know, and it was very, very clinical. The football was good. The pressing was high. The only downside is obviously conceding the late goal and stuff like that. But I don't know, again, when you make the change that he made, and I know obviously he's combating against what happened in the Villa game when we were 2-0 up. And you know, you're thinking maybe against Villa, if he plays, go to the 3 centre-backs, maybe we end up holding out. But then I think sometimes the 3 centre-backs can invite pressure, because from your side, you're looking at it going, well, we're playing with 3 centre-backs and 2 wing-backs now. We're not really looking to press on the way we could. You know, I probably would have preferred to see them keep the back 4 as they had it and keep trying to press. You know, for me, if we can play the game in the other team's half, we're not going to concede goals anyway. You know, and that's more important than you know, the short-term goal, which was get the 3 points. You know what I mean? We have to look at this, you know, and 3 points are massive for us, but we have to look at this going forward and how it's going to work out and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, I suppose looking at it, the fear is that if you offer up those chances that you offered up in the first half last night to West Ham, they have got the quality to put those chances away. And that would be my only fear, you know. And my thinking is, if Brentford had to put 1 or 2 of those chances away in the first half and maybe gone in 2-0 up or something like that, I don't know whether would we have seen that soft mentality creep back in again and filter away. I know we don't know.
It's very, very hard to know, you know, because there has been no sort of pattern under Ralph yet.
Yeah.
We haven't built anything. We've seen glimpses and moments, you know, and we saw again in the Palace game, his first game. We saw in the game against Burnley. We've seen the game last night against Brentford, where there was times, you know, against Villa, where we looked like things were going to move in the right direction. And there's little snapshots and stuff like that, but it just hasn't kind of mashed together just yet for us. It's going to take time, you know. It's going to be a slow burn. I think we're going to have to be very, very patient with this. But you know, I do think, luckily for us, we've got the best goalkeeper in the league at the minute. We really do, and you know, I think we're going to give up a certain amount of chances, but I think you're giving them up on the basis that, you know, you have a guy behind you there that's playing some pretty good football, and he's going to do enough. You're going to have to do something really special to beat him, aren't you?
I can't remember a goalkeeper, and correct me if I'm wrong, that has had such a run of games where he has made so many world-class saves to keep his team in it at times in such a consistent manner. Because most world-class, really top goalkeepers normally have a really good defense in front of them and don't normally have a lot to do, but when they're called upon, they might make one save in the game. That's that save kind of thing. But this guy is making them. He could be making 3 world-class saves in the space of 2 minutes off a single play.
Yeah, he could. You know, he's overworked and underappreciated, I would say. But listen, we know how good he is for the last few years. There was a dip in form. But I think this season you've seen, you know, he's very much back to his best. He really, really is. Where we are now is, you know, the league table doesn't look great for us, but where we'd be without David De Gea is a scary thought as a United fan, if I'm honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's worth serious points to the team every season. I mean, most seasons he's player of the year, and if not player of the year, he's banging the door down on whoever it is player of the year.
Yeah.
What you thinking on this one?
I think we'll have enough here. I'm gonna optimistically say 3-2 United.
3-2. I'm gonna go for a 2-2 draw. I think West Ham are in very good form. I think that game against Leeds, I'm still bewildered how they didn't at least get the draw. And it was such a weird game as well. But I think it's an interesting conundrum for United, because when you're standing up to a kind of a strong physical team that can beat you back in and batter you down a little bit, and especially with a midfield that I would say for United that's quite inconsistent against a midfield of West Ham that's quite consistent. I suppose the only ace up your sleeve is the fact that Declan Rice generally doesn't play very well against United. Now, I don't know whether that means anything, but I think I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. The 5:30 game, Ralph entertaining Pep. Our boy Ralph.
The
governor from The Walking Dead. It will probably feel like The Walking Dead come 7:00 on Saturday evening.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I do get that whiff. I think this will be 3 or 4, if I'm honest. Southampton have been really, really good in recent weeks. Obviously, James Ward-Prowse getting his goal last weekend against Wolves. But previous to that, they were on a good run of form. Southampton picked up some valuable wins and stuff like that. I think this weekend is the weekend they're going to have their off weekend, let's say. I think home against City, I think City are going to look to do some serious damage here. I wouldn't be surprised to see them get 3 or 4, I have to say.
Yeah. As Soul to Soul once sang, back to life, back to reality.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, City have been so difficult to break down. Now, I know against the likes of Southampton, you'll probably see Pep make a few changes in that back line. But I think this could be a really, really big City win. I think maybe, I'm going to say 4-0, which if you go to St. Mary's and you win 4-0, you've had a good day at the office.
Yeah. I'm thinking more or less the same, but I'm going to go 4-1. Because I think Ward-Prowse, I think he will get an opportunity for one, and he'll probably take it. He's that good. So I'm going to go 4-1. I'm going to go City win and both teams to score. That's what I'd be thinking on that one. Interesting game, though. So we kick on into Sunday then. Arsenal versus Burnley.
Yeah, I just looked at Arsenal tonight. I saw a bit of the game at Liverpool, and I just thought to myself, Arsenal could be here till next week and they wouldn't score, for all their play, for all their good play, for all their endeavour. Like, Alexander Lacazette still looks like a guy that's just signed for the club, and he's waiting to hit that kind of purple patch, and it's never happened for him at Arsenal. I thought some of the play was quite good, in the fullback positions and stuff like that. Even for Arsenal, and then they got the ball into Saka and stuff, and Odegaard and Martinelli was good. But again, there's just nobody there to say, give it to me, I'll put it in. And I think that, you might get away with that against Burnley, but you're not going to get away with it against the better teams like the Liverpools and stuff like that this world. I think they'll just have enough for Burnley, but I think it'll be tight. I think I'll probably go 1-0 Arsenal.
Think it'll be that tight, yeah?
Yeah, I do. I just think they're going to find goals hard to come by. I think the only saving grace they have is that I think Burnley are going to find goals even harder to come by. So yeah. I think that'll just be enough. Obviously, with Chris Wood gone and with our boy Maxwell Cornet still away at the AFCON, I think there's just going to be too much for Burnley to do, and I'm going to go 1-0 to the Arsenal.
Yeah, I'm thinking a bit better. I'm thinking 3-1 Arsenal. The reason I'm thinking that is I know Burnley have had a lot of problems, and they've been out with the virus and stuff like that, and Deutsch had a game or two, I think, try a game called off and stuff like that. So I don't know whether those guys will have bounced back in time, and if they have bounced back in time, physically, how will they feel? And I just think they could be quite depleted. That's the only thing I'm thinking. And that might play into Arsenal's hands. And I presume Arsenal will want to bounce back from tonight anyway and put on a performance in the league, especially in thinking this top four spot that's up for grabs,
I think the more I look at Arsenal, and to a lesser degree West Ham, I probably think, you know, this is a 3-horse race for these two spaces between United, Spurs, and Chelsea. I think Chelsea are heavy favourites to get that third spot, and I think that fourth spot is between Spurs and United. I don't think Arsenal have what it takes to, you know, keep picking up results minus a goal scorer. I think they're going to find that difficult because some of the lads, although very good footballers, they're not necessarily lads that turn up every week. You know, they're lads that you'll get a game from, and then you might not see them for a game or two and stuff like that. I think it's very difficult to dovetail like that all the time, without, you know, an out and out striker and stuff like that. So I think that's going to be tough for them. I think United and Spurs are really going to fight that fourth place out. And if they can drag Chelsea in, they will. But I don't think we'll see Arsenal get that close. If I'm honest, I'd probably say they might finish sixth.
You don't think West Ham will hang in there? No, you think they'll fall away?
I think they'll just fall away, not by much, but I just think they'll. I think at times, like, you know, I looked at them last week, like the game against Leeds. If they're going to go Champions League football, they're home against Leeds. We know how open Leeds have been over the last couple of seasons. That's a game they need to go and win and get points on the board.
Lay down a marker,
statement of intent. And I just think maybe they're questioning themselves a little bit, and there might be a little mentality issue because it's the first time they've been in the mix for this. You know, if it was the second time or the third time, I think they'd have a little more confidence to go, you know what, we can do this.
Yeah.
But I think they might need to knock on the door a little more before it opens for them, you know.
The only thing I'd say about Arsenal is they're moving a few players out on loan and they're taking a few bob off the books. I would assume that's with the intention of bringing people in. And I wonder if they do bring in the likes of, I mean, they've been linked with Arthur Mello. They've been linked with Dusan. They've been linked with a couple of players now at this stage. Now, whether they can get them over the line in January or not, I do not know.
Yeah. And
if they do get them over the line, that would probably change your thinking slightly, wouldn't it?
Not unless they get a striker, because it's goals. I think. Like, I mean, I see at the minute they're in talks to bring in a sub keeper or something, or they're looking to get Leno off the books, and they're taking a guy in from the USA by the looks of it, and they're probably going to get Arthur in. But they need a striker. They are short of goals. You've got Lacazette, who kind of flatters to deceive a little bit. And after that, you're looking at the wide boys, i.e., you know, Martinelli and Saka, because Eddie Nketiah just hasn't done it at Arsenal yet.
They're pushing hard on the Vlahovic, aren't they?
Yeah, listen, they'd love Dusan Vlahovic, but whether it happens in January or not is a big question for me. You know, I think it's a big signing for a January transfer window now. The only thing I will say is this window has you know, it's been pretty heavy from the off. So I won't say it definitely won't happen, but I think if they could pull it off in January, it'd be huge for them. I think if they got a Vlahovic in, somebody like that, a striker even on loan till the end of the season that could get them goals, I would reconsider on them. But I think at the minute they're just a little bit light up front.
Yeah, because I'm sort of looking the back end of the window is going to be difficult to do business, isn't it? Because they're going on the winter break, and it's a tad bit awkward, isn't it? Like it's.
Well, I think it probably suits some teams that they're not looking forward to game days. They're just thinking about nailing guys down the last couple of days in the window. You know, and I think it was done like that, to make sure that there was no games in and around this, so that you're not taking fellas out of squads and stuff like that, where you're just going, this is all we've got to do for the next couple of days is get people to sign on the dotted line and stuff like that, you know? I mean, anybody who's not involved in match squads and stuff like that, they won't be going anywhere because they'll have to make sure that they seal this move up before the end of the window, you know?
Yeah.
Any of the other lads that are nailed on for spots in the team or from the bench, they'll be going on their holidays for a couple of days maybe, but the rest of them, not a chance.
Yeah. The other 2:00 game close in my heart, obviously Crystal Palace versus Liverpool. I think since the boys went off on the AFCON, I think we've kind of weathered the storm a little bit. I'd like to see us get over the line against Palace as well. That would really help, because then I know our next league game, I think, is around the 8th of February, and the boys will be back. And I had a feeling, like, when I looked at the league games, I was thinking, okay, we've got Palace and we've got Brentford. That's not too bad. It's not too bad. If we could have picked two fixtures for the boys to be away, these would be kind of it.
I think I don't know about Palace now. I have to say, like, I'd have certainly taken Newcastle or Norwich over that, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Palace are going to make it difficult for you. Vieira versus Klopp, that'll be tasty, if I'm honest. You've got the boy Conor Gallagher's in good form. We've seen the two lads that we spoke about for a week get their turn now, Eberechi Eze and Michael Elise. And I think Palace will give you a run for this on Sunday, I have to say. I think they'll make it very, very awkward. We know you guys aren't massive fans of Selhurst Park. I think this could be a banana skin. I think this could be a banana skin, and I think sometimes, off the back of a result like you've had tonight and stuff like that in the Carabao Cup, and getting to a Wembley final, and that sometimes the lads can take their eye off it ever so slightly. So I think you guys might drop points here at the weekend, and I'm going to say that this is going to be a
Go on. This is your West Ham moment. Where's the crystal ball? This is the West Ham moment. Come on.
Hang on. I'm getting the crystal out. I'm gonna go 2-1 Palace.
Big shoe. I'm gonna go the reversal of it. I'm gonna go 2-1 Liverpool. As I have to. I can't not. But yeah, I do think it is going to be a tough game. But then I think this has been one of those seasons, hasn't it, where, like, no one's had easy games. I mean, City have made it look kind of easy, but everyone else has laboured through this season, haven't they?
Only because they're on a completely different planet than the rest of us.
Yeah.
100%. But yeah, no, you're right. Like, there's been a lot of slogs, hasn't there?
Yeah. And from big clubs with big squads.
Yeah, 100%. I've gone with Liverpool pretty much every week, other than the West Ham game and this one. So if we can pick up a Palace win on Sunday, I'll have a serious record in these Liverpool games. The fans might even start listening to me. You never know.
Absolutely. We have to talk about this one, Leicester versus Brighton. What was going on with Leicester last night? I mean, Rodgers, he's making a career of this, isn't he?
Of blowing his load about 5 minutes too early, like.
Oh, just.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think it's stuff you can stop, if I'm honest. It's they were coughing way too many chances up in the dying embers of that game last night. And you kind of always thought, you know what, there's something in this for Spurs if they could keep banging on this door. Now, I don't think any of us thought there was two in it for them, especially in the space of 180 seconds. But they've just got to be able to put teams to bed, Leicester, haven't they?
Yeah, and they kind of, if you look at the first, say, 35 minutes of the game, they did. I mean, they were playing nice football. They got their goals, Pats and Daka and all. You know what I mean? And it's just, and you're looking at it and you're going, just kind of like, you've got to that point, just kind of step back a little bit, and like you don't have to score 4 or 5. You just have to have a bit of game management. And
I think that's a massive result for Spurs, if I'm honest.
Huge.
I think that's what's going to make Spurs dangerous for the rest of the season. I think they're going to feed off that. I think Conte's going to feed off that. I think he's only going to be short of injecting that into their blood, that this is what we have in us when we're at it and stuff like that, and it's going to be big. I think it's going to give Spurs a huge mental edge going into, the last kind of third of the season, with a high stakes on the line.
And potentially a few players coming in.
Yeah, it's looking at the minute like possibly Adama Traore and Frank Kessie in this window. Now, if they can pull off Frank Kessie, excuse me, and Adama Traore in the January window, they'll have done all right.
Yeah, teams around them are going to have to sit up and take notice.
Kessie himself is going to bring so much steel into that midfield. And then Adama gives you that outlet, that ball and all of a sudden 2 or 3 players get sucked into this man mountain to try and stop him in his tracks. And then you've guys like Mora, and you've guys like Son, and you've guys like Kane who are just going to mop up the space and stuff like that.
It's an intriguing situation, isn't it, to see Frank Kessie potentially playing with Adama Traore. Serious strength and power there. What about Potter? Brighton.
Listen, they're great, aren't they? We just love them.
They're playing fantastic football, aren't they?
They really are. They really, really are. And just when you think they're out of it, and just when you think they're not going to get that goal that they deserve and that their play deserves, somebody just pops up with something, and they just do enough to get over that line or onto that line. I'm a massive fan of them. I've spoken about it for quite a while now. A couple of really, really good players in there. A few unsung heroes as well. We haven't spoken lots this season about the boy Mark Cucurella, but he's missed, so little. I think he's been one of the ever-presents in their side this season. On that left-hand side, he doesn't necessarily bring the explosiveness of a Tariq Lamptey on the opposite side, but he's so solid. He's got a cultured left foot. He plays at a really nice tempo, defends well, has an eye for a pass. Was a bargain at about 15 million quid from Getafe in La Liga in the summer. Really, really good, have to say.
Not as much of a bargain as Lamptey.
Oh, well, I mean, that's where
scandalous, isn't it?
That's where, I think Marina's going to have to answer a few questions, isn't she?
Absolutely.
Especially if Chelsea decide to go back in and try and get him back to the bridge, which I don't think is out of the question, by the way.
No. They normally have a buyback clause though built in, don't they? Now I know it's normally a few quid more than what they got from him and stuff like that, but still. What are you going for in this one? Brighton?
What am I going for in this one? I'll have to go Brighton.
Stick with Graham. Our Graham.
Yeah. Our Graham for a quick reminder.
Well, what do you think? 2-1?
No, you know what? I'll go 2-2.
Go for a draw.
Yeah.
Big good game.
Yeah.
So then we round out the 4:30, the Super Sunday. Chelsea versus Tottenham.
Yeah.
Talking about a top 4 game.
Yeah, it's a big game, isn't it?
Massive.
This is when a lot of United fans will have their sport jerseys on, I think, just to see if they can rope them in a little bit closer. Because if Spurs do decide to go on a roll, it might be an easier catch to catch Chelsea than Spurs, because they are floundering at the minute. Thomas Tuchel is having a mare right now. He really is. The creativity, it's there, but they're missing a cutting edge. They really, really are. I think Werner, Lukaku have looked very, very poor. He's played the boy Mount, then he's left him out, then he played him, then he let, he's been one of the better players for me. Ziyech again, flatters to deceive a little bit. It's going to be a really tough game for Chelsea, I have to say. Yeah. I think this has Spurs written all over it.
Ian sent me an interesting thing. I must send it on to you on WhatsApp. It was a guy on Twitter who dissected down the Chelsea situation, and he did a real great job on it. Ian sent him. It was brilliant reading. I'll send it on to you. But what he's saying is there's a kind of a disjointment in the team, because there's certain amount of players that are there from previous managers and certain amount of players that are brought in, and they just don't seem to mesh together, because you've got a number of players that are from different managerial periods trying to come together as a team.
And this is something that we've spoken about before when we've spoken about recruitment and stuff like that with bigger clubs and bigger teams, and about how they seem to go out and back the manager, and they're buying players for each manager instead of beating this drum for a long time, the Bayern model where you buy players for the system and then you get a manager to work that system, you know. And the kids that play at youth level play that system, and they're all coming through to try and force their way into the spot that they had at a junior age. Like we take guys up from the under 23s and stuff like that, and they're playing on the wing for us, and then we put them into a left back role, or they're playing centre back and now they're playing centre midfield, or vice versa. And you're just kind of thinking, square peg, square hole, lads. Let's make this simple for everybody. If everybody sings off the same hymn sheet and we all go in the same direction, surely this makes life very, very easy for everyone around us. This buying players for managers, especially when we consider the rate at which Chelsea and some of the other big clubs recycle their managers. It's just not prudent.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk. There was a lot of talk of, you know, Tuchel at the moment and stuff like that. Surely to God they couldn't be pulling a trigger or anything like that. That'd be crazy. But when you look at what they've lost, I mean, they have lost their creativity off the wings. I mean, Alonso is not really that guy, and neither is Asper on the other side. No. I mean, they've lost Chilwell, who was absolutely outstanding between goals, assists, and his creative play. And Reece James is an absolute powerhouse for them, and they lost him as well. So they are two huge players that they've lost.
100%.
You know,
absolutely. And this is something that, again, we've spoken about previously when you talk about managers wanting to play a certain system. You know, Jose wanted to play a certain system at United. He felt he couldn't play the system because he didn't have two wingers that could play high enough up the pitch. He asked for wingers. They gave him wingers. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. But you have to have, pieces of your puzzle to fit in there. You know, and I just feel like at the minute, like, you know, Tuchel, if he looks at what he had at the start of the season in certain positions and he looks at what he had now, you know, it's dropped massively. Even if the same player is in, you know, is retaining the position, from a confidence level and from a performance level, they're so far away from where he expected them to be, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think they're night and day from when they were in October. In October, they were really looking like a proper title race team, and they were well up for it and stuff. I think at that stage they were even top of the league, weren't they?
We were given the Premier League Player of the Season to Antonio Rudiger at one stage.
Yeah.
You know, and now they're getting the deal. Yeah. So you're like, strange that.
Yeah, it's an interesting conundrum there for them. On the flip side of that, Spurs, Conte has come in. You just spoke about him there, obviously. We knew he would do a settling job, and in terms of coaching and performance and grit and wearing down and, you know, not necessarily always pleasing on the eye, and a difficult one at times for the likes of Son and Harry Kane to flourish in.
Yeah.
But there's a method to his madness, isn't there?
If I'm a Spurs fan and somebody offers me a trophy or really good football, what am I taking?
Well, you have to take a trophy, don't you? Have to take a trophy.
So that's what they've done. They've gone after the guy who they think can give them a trophy, you know, and I don't think we can argue with that. Now, listen, I don't necessarily think the same at United, because, and I spoke about this, that maybe I felt like Conte wasn't the fit for United. I just think if he goes in there, you know, similarly but differently than to Rafa, if Conte goes in at United and starts playing, you know, three at the back with wing backs, the fans already are going, what? And in a way that when Rafa went in to Everton, he hadn't got a chance because he's going in as a Scouser. He's going in as a Liverpool Red, isn't he? And you know, it's very hard, as he said. You're trying to change, you're trying to get people to open up to you, but they don't want it because there's something holding them back, you know.
Well, I suppose results changed that as well, you know. I mean, in fairness, like if Rafa Benitez was winning games and like Everton were 5th or 6th in the table and they were challenging for a European spot, I don't think the wave. I know the general situation is it's a tough acceptance because of the history.
Yeah.
But I think Conte going into United, even if they went in and they played a bit of, I mean, United would probably accept a little bit of dull football to put a load of markers on the board, wouldn't they?
I don't know. I think the United. I just think the problem with United fans, and don't forget I'm one of them. So it's not like I'm pissing on them ranting, but I just think we were spoiled. You've gone from winning trophies and playing some of the best football in the league to now doing neither. And I think United fans feel like they need to have an identity on the pitch first. And I think with the identity and the way we play, silverware will come. Like I believe that's how United fans see it, as opposed to like if I'm a Spurs fan, I've been so starved of success for the last how many years. A trophy's a trophy. If I'm getting the trophy for being asleep the longest, I'll take it because I need something.
Yeah.
Just to make that cabinet, just so I can get to open that door one time and put something in. So I think it's a little more acceptable there. I don't think Spurs, listen, they've had some good managers and some fabulous players over the time, but I don't think they've had the kind of, over the last 30, 40 years, the kind of success and football that they've had. So I think it's a little more acceptable at Spurs, if I'm honest.
I often think with football, I'm always a substance man over flair. Always a substance man over flair.
Yeah, like listen, I think there's space for both, if I'm honest. Let's look at Liverpool. Do they play good football? Absolutely. Are they in the mix for trophies? Absolutely. So it is possible to do both, but I think you need a certain type of manager for that, and that ain't Antonio Conte.
Yeah.
And by the way, I think he's an absolutely superb manager. And I think he'll do very, very well with Spurs. I just think at times the fans will get a little bit peed off with some of it,
Yeah.
Successful or not.
Yeah, I think if he got them back into the top four and he had a couple of dirty wins and stuff like that, I think Spurs would say, I mean, he still has to have a chance to put his stamp on the team as well,
Oh, absolutely.
And that time is going to come, What are you thinking on this one, Chelsea Spurs?
3-1 Spurs.
Really? Huge shout. That'd be a massive result in the league, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm thinking a draw.
I may have also just picked out one of my doubles for the Beat the Bookie episodes. Spurs and Palace both to win with both teams to score.
Jesus. Interesting. That should be a good one. Yeah, I'm taking a draw. I'm thinking 2-2. I think a draw. I think a draw kind of, again, it probably doesn't help either, but it doesn't necessarily damage either. I think that the one thing they'll have in their benefit going into the Super Sunday is they'll have been able to look at Arsenal and United and West Ham and seeing what's happened and survey the landscape. But I'm thinking a 2-2 draw. I think Chelsea will be up for it. It's against Spurs, and I don't know, Spurs. They're not. They wouldn't be great at traveling to the bridge either, would they?
I just think they've a little more potency. Spurs,
Conte is probably the ace, isn't he? Going back, that's the bit of history.
He's definitely part of the aces. Yeah. They're still without Son, but I think Chelsea's been coughing up an awful lot of chances recently. I think they've the boy Kepa in goal who didn't cover himself in glory last week. Either. Yeah, I think this is Spurs.
Interesting. Be a huge result. Certainly be if it goes the way you think, 3-1 Spurs, certainly there'd be more questions over Tuchel, wouldn't there, again?
Absolutely.
Yeah, the wave.
If it doesn't go the way I'm thinking, we might even see Ian on the mashup on Monday.
Yeah, absolutely. Be interesting, yeah. Well, listen, pleasure looking at match week 23. Some big calls there from you, some interesting scores. Potentially a few, Bob, to be made this weekend by the looks of things. So make sure you check out our Beat the Bookie episode as well. I'm sure it's going to be electric. Some serious prices on it this week. Some charity, if it comes in, is going to avail big time. As always, drop your picks down in the comments there. Head over there, drop a subscribe and like as well. Hit that bell notification. We're dropping content now on a daily basis at this stage. Subs and everything is growing well. So we thank all those people who have subbed the channel and who are helping us out and helping us to grow the upper tier community.
If you do watch videos and you haven't subbed yet, get your finger out.
I just also want to say as well, we have some slick merchandise on the way, some nice snapback caps and some t-shirts. So we will be giving away some items over the next couple of weeks. And we also have a bit of kit for the boys on the shows and stuff like that as well. So
yeah.
We'll be like the New Day when we have these snapbacks on and everything and stuff.
I like it, man. Will I bring the belt next week?
Bring the belt if you want. I didn't mean the New Day. I meant the Usos, the Uso Penitentiary, baby. What am I talking about? The New Day. It's not about snapbacks, not the New Day. We're not all about the pancakes and the unicorns here. We're about the New Day or the Usos on the Penitentiary.
Maybe we're with the pancakes. Let's be honest here.
Maybe the pancakes, but just not at the moment. It's a new year, not just a new day.
The new year. Yes, it is.
Absolutely. Till next time, my friend. A pleasure.
Thanks for that.